Welcome back to Dr. Skull Games, and today I want to talk about ratings and what do ratings actually represent. Ratings are so challenging because these are the numbers that we often use to sort of evaluate what does our chess journey look like? Are we improving? Are we plateauing? And what I'm finding more and more is that ratings can be not very indicative or not very able to track how much better you've gotten at chess because of what they're actually measuring. They are not measuring, let's be clear, what your knowledge of the game is, right? This has become really difficult for myself as my knowledge has gained just enormously and my rating has not sort of reflected that. What ratings are actually reflecting are simply the scores of the game you played. They're not even reflecting how you played in the games you played. For example, perhaps you played the worst game of your life and then your opponent allows you to back row mate them at the end. You come away with a ratings increase, but you know in your heart, like, I played horribly. And perhaps the opposite is true. You play a 60 move game, 59 moves are brilliant moves, and you make one move that's not even a horrible blunder, but it's enough of a blunder that your opponent also happens to bring sort of their best game they've ever played that game, and they end up beating you. And you walk away going, what? I played a brilliant game, yet I somehow still lost or drew that game. Ratings can be this incredibly frustrating thing. So what I thought I would do to kind of illustrate this point that I'm trying to make is talk about my last month of tournaments. So I went into this month rated 1680. I had a really great tournament at the American Open, the US Open in Philadelphia. I went 3.5 out of 8, which doesn't sound amazing, except for it was against 1,800 plus people. So I'm starting to think, as we all do, perhaps my rating isn't properly keeping up. And I think this is going to be a controversial statement, I realize. I think most people who are actually working hard at their chess are probably underrated because it's very hard to get enough games in to sort of match what your actual rating is. I feel like my blitz rating is probably accurate. I play plenty of blitz games, and so I think it can keep up. But my rapid games, especially my over-the-board games, it's just really hard to get enough games in. Okay, so I entered this month at 1680. I decided to play 2 different tournaments. I'm playing a Tuesday night event and a Wednesday night event. Now the problem is I'm at the World Open for the first round, so I have to take a bye in both. So I come in at half a point. The Tuesday night tournament, the first game I play is against somebody rated 1,000. I'm able to beat them. Okay, things are going well. The second person, I play against somebody who's rated 1,500. I'm able to beat them. That's great. Now I'm at 2.5 out of 3. I'm doing very well in this tournament. And so we get to the final game, and I'm playing against this guy. He is rated 1960. And so, being the person who wants to have their rating go up person that I am, I've calculated ahead of time that if I beat this person, I'm going to go up to about 1740. Even if I draw them, I'm going to go up to about 1720. And if I lose, it's going to be a very small gain, even though I'll have gone 2.5 out of 4, because actually I'll have won 2 out of the 3 games, but 2 of them were against lower rated people. So I play a great game. I think we can see this position as white. I'm doing very well. I have these connected pass pawns. Everything is sort of going my way. I'm feeling good. The problem is I'm a little bit low on time. My opponent has played quite quickly to get to this position, and I make a misstep here thinking that this is going to do more than it does, and then the big misstep is going here. I blunder in some pretty serious time pressure. I end up having to trade the queen for a rook and a knight, and this may be holdable in a different universe, but it was the end of a very long game, and I utterly collapsed from here and lost. So I play this great tournament. I win 2 out of 3 games. My only loss is against a 1960, in which I outplayed him for, we'll say, 46 moves and had really just one bad move, and boom, I gained 4 rating points, which is great. My rating is going up, but it's one of those things where you're looking at this and you're like, I don't feel like the rating gain I had in this tournament reflected how well I played. I played 3 fantastic games, one against a 1960, should have won, but the ratings don't care about should-haves and would-haves and you played great. All the rating cares about is you collapsed after your error. Okay, fine. Now I am going to gain 4 points. That's still something. I'm on the way up. The problem, though, is the Wednesday night event has less players who are highly rated, which is fine. My goal is to get better at chess, but one of the things is by playing higher rated players, you not only have an option of getting better by playing better people, but it's easier to lift your rating than by playing people who are lower rated than you. So I took a bye in the first round. I was at the World Open. The first round I played against somebody who was rated, I think they were 1,300 at the time. And we reached this position, and it's a pretty even position. White is doing fine. And then my opponent makes a blunder. And they move away the defender of this pawn. I take this pawn, and I'm able to convert this advantage into a win. What was fascinating to me about this was after the game, my opponent kind of had this reverse talk, right? Where like, he's thinking, I played a great game. I made one small mistake, he said. One tiny mistake of losing one tiny pawn, and you were able to grind that out to a win. For me, when I saw this, I was like, this is a huge blunder because it's not just one pawn, which, by the way, can be a lot depending on the position, but it's a pawn that's leaving me with this pass pawn. And so it's just kind of fascinating for us to have this conversation as we're kind of taking away different things from the game. But so I win that game. I win the next game. I am currently in the tournament 2-0, but I played someone rated 1,300, someone played 1,200, and then I played a person rated 1,500. They're a very attacking player. Once again, I played great. I had them on the ropes. I even had a mate in 2 that I missed. Incredibly embarrassing moment. It was a hard mate in 2, but I should have found it. It's this game here. And I end up making a blunder. Again, it's a bit of time trouble here, by the way, is the mating opportunity where I can go here, and I have this slick move here, which I totally missed. The queen comes here to block it, and the knight would take it. Frustrating stuff, to be sure. I do feel like this is kind of a hard mate to see. Instead, I went here, thinking I'm loading up here. But eventually, I end up getting my queen trapped. Like, I was shocked when he trapped my queen. I did not see it coming. And again, it's a game where I am demonstrating great chess knowledge and great chess skills and playing really well, and I made a mistake and I lost. So now I'm 2-1 in this tournament. And what I'm realizing is because of the rating of the people I've played, who, by the way, played quite well, it depends who I'm going to play in this 4th round of what's going to happen to the rating. And I ended up playing a person who was rated 940. And this person is 2.5 out of 4. They're having a great tournament. They've beaten some good players. They've already beaten 2 1,600 rated players. And so I'm walking into this last round, and it's like, if I lose like 50 points in this tournament by going 2-2. And if I win and I go 3-1 and play some fantastic chess, I am going to lose 17 rating points. And I win a really good game, I think. I played it quite well. He was very good for a 940, not surprisingly at all after the event. He did so well that his rating jumped up a ton because he was provisional. Now he's, I don't know, close to 1,400. And he plays really well. And so the bottom line here is that I played 7 rated games. I felt like I played great in all of them. 2 of them, I had a moment, right? I had a moment where I let it slip away. I had a winning position. And that happens. But ratings do not capture that, right? Ratings aren't like, woo, you played such a great game. You know what? You get 3 rating points even though you lost. That is not how it works. And so this month, I had a net minus 13 points despite going 5-2 on the month. And it's just so fascinating how ratings just don't necessarily capture like what you know about chess or even how many great moves you play. What they only capture is that final result. If your opponent was generous and blundered and gave you a free win, that is no different than if you grind out the hard-fought win. And I just thought it would be interesting to kind of take a moment, because I think there are so many of us out there that would love to see our ratings improve. We feel like we're getting better. The rating isn't reflecting that, and it can be incredibly frustrating. So I thought I would take you through this last month of mine where I had a lot of fun. I played some great chess. I feel like I learned a lot. My knowledge was better. I feel like I reflected a lot of knowledge and skill. But what happened in the end? The rating goes down. The rating goes down like 13, 14 points. In a month where I thought maybe this would be the month I would finally crack 1,700 again. Instead, I'm back down to 1,660 or something. And I'm once again telling myself, don't worry about the rating. Focus on the journey. The rating will come. But in the back of my mind, it's like, will it? Will it come? Come on. I mean, you're a lot better. You're a lot better. Your knowledge is better. Your skill is better. You're making good moves. So there we go. I thought I would take you through my process. Hopefully it wasn't too depressing. I imagine many of you have had a similar issue. I think for me, the takeaway in this month is it'll come. It'll come. Ratings aren't the end all be all. Just put in the work. Just put in the time. Have fun. Get better. And the ratings are going to be what the ratings are going to be. I'll see you next time on Dr. Skull Games.